The spoon slipped from my fingers and clattered against the plate. Grant didn't blink. He pushed his wine glass aside and leaned in. Starting next month, Mom, your retirement will go directly into my account. We already talked to the bank. I didn't speak. The stew on my plate steamed between us. We'll handle the bills, he said, like he was doing me a favor. Less for you to worry about. Brielle didn't look up from her phone. Honestly, you don't need that much anymore. Just a room, a warm meal, some quiet. Her voice was smooth like she rehearsed it. Across the table, the kids were picking through garlic bread. No one else reacted. No one questioned it. I reached for my coffee. It had gone cold. You'll still get an allowance, Grant added. We're not cruel. That word stuck. I stirred the mug not because I needed to, but to keep my hands from shaking. The dining room looked the same chandelier, same chipped edge on the hutch I'd bought secondhand after Richard left. Nothing had changed except me, except the way they looked at me. I used to be the one who organized dinner, who handled every bill, every insurance form, every tax return, mine and theirs. I bought Grant his first car, signed his FAFSA, paid off their second mortgage when Brielle had her wellness coaching phase. Now I was just sitting there like some burden they were trying to manage. I don't remember signing anything, I said finally. Grant shrugged. It's a digital process now. You probably did, just forgot. I'll send you the screenshot. I didn't reply. I knew I hadn't signed anything. Not yet. Brielle stood and started clearing plates, mine first. You're not mad, right? We're just trying to simplify. For everyone. She didn't wait for an answer. Grant took his phone from the side table. He always kept it face down, like he was afraid of what might show. It's settled then, he said. We'll take care of everything. Just relax, Mom. I stayed in my chair long after they'd gone to the living room. From the kitchen, I heard the sink, running water thudding against porcelain. The clink of silverware in the basin. The mug in my hand was old. Faded blue letters almost rubbed off. It used to say, World's Best Mom. Now it just said, LD's BM. Fitting. I poured the rest of the coffee down the drain. In the hallway, I passed their wedding photo. Brielle had worn cream, not white, some statement about modern femininity, I think. I remembered what it cost me. The envelope on the entryway table caught my eye. Addressed to me. Opened. Inside, a notice from the Social Security office. I checked the routing number at the bottom. It wasn't mine. I stood still. Counted to 5. In the living room, Grant laughed at something on the TV. I walked to the garage, opened the small cabinet behind the utility shelf, and pulled out the folder I hadn't touched since Robert passed. I placed the envelope inside. Then I went back into the kitchen and refilled the coffee pot. The drawer by the fridge stuck for a second before sliding open. Inside, spoons, wine, corks, a rubber band, 1 utility bill. I placed the envelope carefully on top. Let them think I forgot. Let them believe I'm soft. I watched the coffee drip slow and steady as the house fell quiet. Tomorrow, I'd find out where else my name had disappeared. I yanked the drawer open. Empty. The checkbook was gone. The envelope I kept receipts in, gone. Even the old red pen I used to mark every utility due date had vanished. The drawer slid shut louder than I meant. Outside, I heard footsteps. Grant's. He didn't knock, just pushed the door open like it was his. Don't panic, he said, already waving a hand. We moved your financial stuff. Safer this way. Less confusion. I stayed seated on the edge of the bed. He leaned against the doorframe. Brielle read this article about elder fraud, scams, phone calls. She's just looking out for you. I looked at the nightstand. Even my reading glasses were gone. Grant pulled something from his pocket. A small brass key. He dangled it between 2 fingers. By the way, we added a lock to your door, just in case. I stared at it. Not to keep you in, he said quickly. It's for when you're alone in the house. Just peace of mind, you know. He didn't hand me the key. When he left, I sat still for a long time. Then I walked to the door, tested the knob. It clicked softly. From the outside. The next morning, my phone charger was gone. Brielle claimed she'd moved it to organize cords. They replaced my coffee brand, a milder roast. Better for your stomach, she said. They swapped the plates for paper ones, said it made cleanup easier. The pantry had a new lock, only snacks for the kids. Everything they did came with a smile, a reason, a justification. That week, I asked for my wallet. Grant told me he'd take care of anything I needed. He brought me back a bottle of shampoo and a crossword book. No change, no receipt. I didn't push, because I wasn't confused. I was watching. I knew which drawer they hadn't checked beneath the laundry detergent in the back hall. I knew where the landline still worked. I remembered the pin to the safe deposit box at First Star Bank, even if they didn't. I sat in the kitchen one afternoon, sipping the weak coffee they gave me. Brielle walked in, holding a list. Meal plan, she said. We'll do salmon Tuesdays. Oatmeal every morning. You're supposed to avoid red meat, right? I didn't answer. She placed the list on the fridge with a magnet shaped like a pineapple. Later, I took it down and slid it behind the toaster. The next day, the lock on my door jammed. I knocked. No one came. I waited 20 minutes before the toddler cried, and someone remembered I existed. They opened the door like they were doing me a favor. Brielle had the nerve to say, "You should keep a book with you just in case." I smiled. That night, after they'd gone to sleep, I stood in the hallway, barefoot. I opened the coat closet slowly. At the back, beneath the folded tarp, I found what I was looking for. The old flip phone, still charged. I dialed a number I hadn't used in years. It rang once, twice. Then, "This is Evelyn. Leave it short." Then I placed the phone back and walked toward the kitchen. I opened the freezer. Behind the peas, the envelope sat where I'd left it. Tomorrow, I'd move it. One drawer wasn't safe anymore. I walked into the kitchen and stopped. My chair was gone. The table had 4 chairs now, 2 on each side. Tight, balanced, no room left. Grant looked up from his plate. We moved things around, for space. Brielle was already pouring orange juice. The kids were feeling crowded. Crowded. In the house, I paid off. I didn't speak. I walked to the counter, took my usual mug from the dish rack, and poured the bitter coffee they kept buying. Grant glanced at the stove. "We already ate." "It's 8, I said. "Right. We started early. The kids have school stuff." I stood by the sink. No one offered to move. Brielle sliced a banana, handed half to the youngest. The other half she kept. "There's still some toast if you want." I didn't want toast. I wanted my chair. Meredith, the 5-year-old, looked at me. "Why's Grandma standing?" Brielle laughed too quick. "She likes it. Keeps her hips moving." Grant didn't look up. I took the toast. I chewed standing. I drank standing. They cleared the table around me like I was part of the wall. After they left, I checked the garage. My chair sat in the corner. Legs' dusty seat cushion flipped. I didn't move it back. That evening, I went to the hallway mirror. Patted down my hair. Straightened my collar. I looked like someone who should be invited to sit. I walked into the living room. The couch had new throw pillows, floral, expensive looking. Grant had one foot on the armrest. Brielle scrolled through her tablet. I stood there for a full minute. Neither of them noticed. I walked to the coffee table, moved one of the bills aside. Beneath it, a small stack of envelopes, my name crossed out with a thick black pen. I took them, slid them under my sweater. In my room, I opened them carefully. Credit card promotions, insurance updates. One was a notice from a pharmacy my refill had been canceled per family request. I folded the letter, slipped it behind the back panel of my old photo album. The next morning, I waited by the table again. 4 chairs, 4 plates. Just eat later. Grant said, not unkind. It's easier that way. I smiled. Of course. I walked out to the porch. Sat on the steps. Coffee on one side, toast on a paper napkin. The dog from next door barked once, then quiet. I finished eating, went back inside, and checked the drawer by the laundry again. Still untouched. Good. I added the new envelope, wrapped a rubber band around them all. Then I took the backup key I'd taped under the dryer years ago and moved everything to a new spot. Inside the flour tin. Bottom double-lined. Let Brielle think I've gone soft. Let Grant keep believing I'm tired. By evening, they'd forgotten to speak to me at all. I sat in the den while they watched TV. The walls buzzed with canned laughter. I opened my old planner, flipped past January, past April to September, underlined one date, circled it. Then I closed the book, tucked it under my seat, and waited for the house to go quiet. I opened the mailbox and saw nothing with my name. Just credit card offers for Grant appointment reminders for Brielle and a kids magazine about dinosaurs. Not one envelope addressed to me. I waited until the front door clicked shut behind me, then flipped through them again. Nothing. The next day, the pharmacy called. Mrs. Fenn. We received a hold on your prescription from a family contact. We just wanted to verify. My throat tightened. Which contact? The line crackled. A man. Grant, I believe. He said there were changes in care. I thanked her, hung up and walked straight to the kitchen. Grant was eating cereal out of the mixing bowl. Everything okay? I kept my voice even. They said the refill was canceled. Oh yeah, he said, without looking up. We're switching you to something gentler. Brielle found this herbal supplement. Less chemicals. I didn't ask for that. You don't need to. We've got it handled. I opened the fridge. My shelf top left was empty. No vitamins, no blood pressure meds, not even the jar of pickles I'd bought. I shut it. Too hard. The sound echoed. Brielle appeared behind me. You startled the baby. I walked past her. Back to my room. The next morning, a delivery van pulled up. 2 men unloaded a small safe and carried it inside. Grant signed the slip. It's for everyone's documents. Centralized. Neat. He looked at me. Don't worry, your things are in there too. Birth certificate. Account info. We'll take care of it from now on. Brielle rubbed my shoulder like I was a dog. No more paperwork stress. You get to just be. Just be. I smiled and walked out to the porch. Just be erased. I spent the next 2 days watching every move, where they stored things, what they whispered when they thought I was asleep. One afternoon, the Wi-Fi went out. I offered to reset the router. Grant laughed. No need, Mom. That's too much tech for you. Later, I tried to call the bank. The automated system rejected my PIN. I waited until they went to sleep and used the landline. Called Evelyn again. This time I left 3 words. Still happening. Ready. Then I hung up and unplugged the phone. The safe sat by the hallway mirror. Matte black. Cold. Silent. Every time I passed it, I imagined my life folded inside, filed under inconvenience. I began to make a new list. Not on paper, not in ink, in my head. A list of what I still had. 1. The flip phone. 2. My mother's ring, hidden in the coat lining. 3. The coffee tin lined with proof. 4. My memory, still sharp, still mine. That night, Brielle asked what I wanted for dinner. I said nothing. She said, well, you'll need to eat earlier. The kids want the dining room quiet tonight. I nodded. Of course. I ate alone by the laundry room on a step stool. Afterward, I walked through the living room. They didn't look up. I stood in front of the safe. Quiet. Still. I counted to 5. Then I walked into the kitchen and opened the freezer. The envelope was still there behind the peas. I added one more thing to it, a receipt from the pharmacy with the cancellation code. I slid it in, resealed, the bag pushed the peas back into place. Then I reached under the sink, pulled out the old thermos, and opened the false bottom. I moved the coffee tin. Beneath it, taped flat to the shelf, was a folded sheet of paper. Not yellowed. New. I peeled the tape gently, opened it. My name, my signature, but not my handwriting. It was a transfer authorization, full access to my pension disbursements. Routing changed. Custodian Grant Fenn, signed Merle Fenn. I studied the strokes. The M was wrong. Mine always curled tighter. At the bottom, a digital stamp. Processed last month. I sat down. No reaction, no sound. I read it again. Then I folded it slowly and slid it back under the tin. Retaped the corners. Let it sit. Let them think I never looked. The kettle whined. I poured water over the grounds. Same method I'd used for 40 years. I drank at the counter. No toast. Just bitter coffee and silence. Grant walked in mid-cup. He glanced at me, then at the tin. Said nothing. "Morning," I said. "Sleep okay?" he asked, opening the fridge. "Well enough." He pulled out almond milk, closed the door with his hip. "Just a reminder we've got that financial advisor meeting this week. Brielle said you don't have to come? We'll represent your interests?" I nodded. "Sounds efficient?" He didn't catch the edge. "Good," he said. "Less for you to worry about." He left the room. I washed the mug, dried. It placed it back on the rack, upside down. Then I pulled the junk drawer open. Nothing useful. Just pens with dead ink twist ties, expired coupons. I closed it. That night I stayed up while they slept. No TV, no lights. Just me at the kitchen table writing in the smallest notebook I owned. I listed dates, names, things they'd said. March 9th. Brielle changed my doctor's contact. March 22nd. Grant removed my name from the pharmacy profile. April 4th. Paper found under tin. I numbered them. Used a red pen. I didn't write what I felt. I wrote what I could prove. The next morning, I moved the tin back 1 inch. Let's see if he notices. He did. That afternoon, it was perfectly centered again. I smiled when I saw it. Grant knocked on my door later. "Everything okay?" "Yes." "You seem quiet." "Quiet isn't bad." He studied me. I didn't blink. He left without saying more. That night, Brielle offered me chamomile tea. I declined, said I'd make coffee instead. She laughed. "You're the only person I know who drinks coffee before bed." "I don't sleep as deeply anymore," I said. I brewed the coffee slowly, carefully, letting the scent fill the kitchen. They watched TV. I listened to the laugh track. The envelope in the freezer hadn't moved. Still sealed. Still dry. I opened it, slid the new document inside. Then I took the second copy I'd made at the library printer and placed it under the floorboard in the hall closet. Loose wood. Still holds. Let them search my room. Let them search the safe. I have other safes. Other shelves. Other hands. I checked the list again before bed. Added one more line. April 5th. Forgery confirmed. Response pending. I placed the notebook inside my pillowcase, zipped it shut. Then I pulled out the calendar I kept in the sock drawer and circled Thursday. Not for them, for Evelyn. I stood in the hallway and listened. Brielle's voice was low but sharp. "The market's moving. If we don't act now, someone else will get that property." Grant mumbled something I couldn't hear. She didn't let him finish. We agreed. "She's not using the money. She doesn't need it." "That's what you said." Silence. Then footsteps. The creak of the cabinet. Glass clink. A long pour. Brielle, again calmer now. "You already got her signature. Just call the guy back. Send the deposit." My hand tightened around the laundry basket. "Don't make me do it," she added. "Don't make me talk to her." Grant groaned. "It's not that simple." "No, it is," she snapped. "Either she's part of this family, or she's not." But she can't sit there drinking coffee like some ghost while we scrape and wait. I moved down the hallway before they caught me listening. Later, Grant knocked on my door. I opened it. He had that look teenager in trouble man, pretending he's in control. He leaned on the frame. Quick question, Mom. Remember that savings account from Dad's pension? I nodded. It's just sitting there, right? Depends who you ask. He laughed awkwardly. We were thinking of investing. Not taking it, just shifting it. The return's great. Real estate low risk. I waited. You'd still benefit, he said. Technically. Eventually. Technically, it's a family move. Trust-based. I sipped from my mug. Didn't answer. He scratched his neck. So, just think about it. No pressure. I closed the door gently. They wanted the old timberland lot. I remembered it Eastern Ridge flood-prone but scenic. 2 acres of dreams with a mortgage attached. The next morning, I found Brielle at the kitchen island phone pressed to her ear. Yes, she said. It'll be a joint investment. Elder funds are included. She's cooperative. Cooperative. She hung up, glanced at me, and smiled too wide. I nodded, poured coffee, and sat at the far end of the room. She opened a brochure, left it face up on the table. Photos of the lot. Sunlight through trees. Future retreat in bold. I took my mug and left. In the garage, I opened the cabinet above the tool chest. Pulled down the envelope labeled Storm Fund. Still there. The original certificate of deposit. Still active. Still untouched. I checked the routing number against the forgery. Different. Good. I slid it back, taped the corner again. Closed the door. That night, Grant brought wine to dinner. To new chapters, he said. Brielle raised her glass. To family assets. They both looked at me. I toasted silently. Didn't drink. After they went to bed, I took out the phone. The burner. I called Evelyn. No voicemail this time. She answered. Tell me, she said. I need a trust. Quiet. Immediate. Irrevocable. Pause. Then, we'll meet Thursday. Same place. I clicked the phone shut. Placed it under the thermos. The brochure was still on the kitchen table. I folded it, slid it into the trash, covered it with coffee grounds. Let them look. Let them wonder. I circled Thursday again in the calendar. And under it, I wrote one word in ink done. I baked a pie, and no one came. The crust sat cooling by the window, untouched. Willa and her husband used to visit every other Sunday. They'd bring cornbread or a bottle of store-brand wine. We'd talk politics, aches, weather. But not this week. Not last week either. I called once. Willa answered, voice hesitant. Oh, hey, Merla. We've been meaning to drop by. Just things are busy. Her words stuttered. Her tone didn't match. I asked if everything was all right. She paused. Brielle mentioned, You've been a bit forgetful. My mouth went dry. Forgetful. Not in a bad way. Just, age. We understand. I hung up. Later I sat on the porch and watched the street. Willa drove by. She didn't wave. Brielle came out, saw the pie untouched. Too much sugar, Mom. You know that. Let's not risk confusion. Confusion. I boxed up, half-placed it in foil and brought it to the neighbors down the block. The boy answered. His mother appeared behind him. Oh, she said, surprised. You're here alone, I live here. She smiled politely, too tightly. Well, thank you. That's kind. The door closed sooner than it used to. That evening, I overheard Brielle again. On the phone, pacing. We're watching her closely. She's not really safe unsupervised. She said it like a duty. Grant grunted from the other room. Didn't object. I made coffee. Full strength. My body could take it. My mind needed it. I opened the drawer under the oven mitts where I'd stashed the notebook. Still there. Still dry. I flipped through the last few entries. April 6th. Willa stopped calling. April 7th. Brielle using confused as code. I closed it, wrapped the string around the spine, and tucked it deeper. The next morning, I walked to the end of the street, checked the old community board. No flyers, no messages, no invites. Back at the house, the mail had already been sorted. A single card sat on the counter. Return address, Shady Pines Memory Center. I opened it. A brochure, glossy, rooms with cheerful curtains, smiling aides, structured days. I turned it over. A sticky note attached. Just exploring options. B, I didn't tear it up. I folded it clean, placed it inside the phone book where we used to hide cash. That night, I called Evelyn again. It's worse, I said. How bad they're rewriting me while I'm standing here. She exhaled. Thursday. Don't cancel. I won't. I walked to the hallway, stood in front of the mirror and looked myself in the eye. Still here? Still me. In the morning, I took the extra pie and left it on the back steps. The raccoons could enjoy it if no one else would. Then I opened the envelope of documents and slid in 2 more items. Willa's voicemail and the brochure from Shady Pines. I resealed the bag, put it back behind the peas, and this time I added a second copy in the cereal box. Just in case. I dialed the number just after 7. 3 rings, then his voice lower than I remembered, but still steady. Russ, speaking. Russell. It's Merla. Pause. Then Merla Fenn. Well, I'll be how long's it been? 7 years, I said. Last time you fixed my wire transfer to the wrong account. He laughed. Still remember that. You yelled at me in person, then brought muffins the next day. I've got something else to fix. I kept it short. No sob story, just facts. The signature, the account change, the routing, the sudden silence in my mailbox. Russell didn't interrupt. He never did. Finally, he said, "You never signed that form." "No, that's a felony." "I know. Your pension Social Security still technically under your name. They rerouted, but you're still primary on record. That matters." "How fast can I reverse it?" "Depends. Quiet is key. If you walk into the wrong branch and ask questions, it flags the system. Then everyone starts looking, including the people who did this. So what do I do? I'll prep the internal form. But we'll need ID verification, not the kind they faked. Passport, state ID. Originals. And we do this in person, not in town. I'll meet you at the Asheville branch. Friday, 9 sharp. Will it stay quiet? He didn't answer for a second. Then if anyone notices, it'll be after the money's back where it belongs. I let the silence hold. Russell, I said I never forgot the muffins. He chuckled. And I never forgot you kept every receipt. We hung up. I stood in the kitchen with the phone still warm in my hand. Across the room, the fridge hummed like nothing had happened. I opened it. The peas, the envelope, the backup untouched. Still safe. I pulled out the envelope, added a note, Asheville. Friday. 9 a.m. Russ. Then I tucked it back in. Brielle came in mid-movement. Talking to someone. Just checking pharmacy hours. She eyed me. Still not sleeping. Sleep fine. Just wake early. She poured almond milk into her smoothie, didn't say more. Grant passed by with a gym bag. You need anything? Mom. Nothing today. He nodded like I'd said something meaningful. Then they left. I moved to the desk in the guest room. Opened the old tin I used for stamps and slid out my passport. Still valid. Still crisp. I grabbed my license from the lining of my sewing kit. I packed both in a zippered pouch, slipped them into the tote I kept by the laundry shelf. Then I checked the calendar. Thursday with Evelyn. Friday with Russ. 2 moves. I moved the envelope from the freezer to the coat closet, stuffed it deep in the lining of my rain jacket. No one checks old coats. Later that evening, I made dinner just enough for myself. I didn't eat with them. Said I had a headache. They didn't care. I watched through the window as they planned their investment vision board in the den. Then I sharpened a pencil. Wrote one more line in the notebook. April 10th. Credit union confirms account still legally mine. I tucked it away. Turned out the light. Tomorrow, Evelyn. Then Russ. Then home. I shoved the bag between the peas and the ice tray. The paper folded crisp inside the Ziploc edges pressed flat. The ink looked darker under the frost. My signature, fake and clean, sat there like a crime scene sealed in plastic. I closed the door slow. The hum returned steady as a heartbeat. That night, I heard Brielle in the kitchen. Blender fridge door chatter on her phone. I waited still in my chair, coffee mug cooling in my hand. She never touched the freezer. Only the fruit drawer. Only the almond milk. The next morning, I added another slip, an old bank receipt from the year Samuel died. My name still sharp on the line, proof I'd carried every burden alone. Day after day, I built it. Little things. Notes from phone calls. Dates I overheard. Receipts I'd saved since Grant was in high school. Each sealed in its own bag, stacked like frozen bricks. No one looked twice. At dinner, Brielle slid the salad bowl close to Grant and said, "Once we get the check cleared, we can finally put down the deposit." Grant nodded. Chewing. "Friday. It'll be done." My fork stayed still. Friday. Same day I'd see Russ. Same day they thought my money would be theirs. I rose early Thursday, opened the freezer, and touched the cold stack. My fingers tingled. I didn't take anything out. I only wanted to feel it there. Later that afternoon, Grant barged into my room without knocking. "Mom? Did you move the mail again?" "No," I said, folding laundry. He dug through my dresser drawers like a thief pretending to search for keys. He didn't find what mattered. He never would. Brielle joined him in the hall. "She forgets. Don't waste time." "I don't forget," I said, voice low. They ignored me. When they left for the evening, I sat at the table, wrote in the notebook, April 11th, freezer vault. Friday, deposit plus Russ. I slid the notebook under the cushion of my chair. Then I went back to the freezer and pressed the bags flat, letting the frost seal them tighter. I poured myself coffee, waited in the quiet. The hum of the fridge carried me into the night. Grant slammed the front door so hard the glass rattled. I stayed on the porch swing, coffee cooling in my hands. The wood creaked under me, steady, slow. Inside, drawers opened. Cabinets banged. His voice carried through the walls. "What the hell is this?" he shouted. "There's nothing here." "Nothing." Brielle's heels clicked across the kitchen tile. "Check again. You're doing it wrong." "I'm not doing it wrong. The account's empty." She had to have moved it. The swing rocked under me. I kept my eyes on the yard, the fading grass, the fence Samuel had built 30 years ago. Inside, Grant's panic rose. "We were supposed to sign papers tomorrow. How are we supposed to explain this?" "You said she wouldn't fight back," Brielle hissed. "She's old. She's not supposed to fight back." I took a sip. Bitter coffee. Perfect. The back door banged open. Grant stormed onto the porch. Face red phone clutched in his hand. "What did you do?" I looked at him, calm. "I don't know what you mean. The money's gone." He waved the phone like it could prove something. "You emptied it." "When?" How I shrugged. "I thought you were handling everything. That's what you told me." His jaw worked. No words came. Brielle appeared in the doorway, arms crossed. She already changed everything. The sentence hit the air like a verdict. I turned back to the yard, rocked the swing. The sound of chains rubbing against wood filled the silence. Grant's breath came fast, sharp. "You ruined this. You ruined everything. Do you even understand what you've done?" I didn't answer. Brielle stepped closer, her voice lower. "You're going to tell us where it is." I set the mug on the rail. "And if I don't," neither of them spoke. They didn't have an answer. The evening sun dipped low, streaking the porch in orange. The silence stretched. Finally, Grant muttered, "We'll find it. You can't hide money forever." I lifted the mug again, swallowed the last sip. "Maybe not forever," I said, "but long enough." The swing creaked. His footsteps pounded back inside. I sat still. The porch smelled of dust and cooling wood. In the quiet, I almost heard Samuel's voice again. The swing kept moving slow and steady, carrying me toward what had to come next. I pushed open the diner door and walked straight to the corner booth. Evelyn was already there, folder open, pen in hand. No lipstick, no small talk, just business. "You sure you want this?" she asked. I slid into the seat. "Do it." She handed me the trust documents. I signed. Slow, firm, no shaking, my name in black ink on every line that mattered. Next came the will. 2 copies. One for me, one for her office. I adjusted the distribution. No ambiguity, no loopholes, no access. "Effective immediately," she said. Yes. She stamped everything right there. Notarized, dated, filed. Evelyn closed the folder. "If they try anything after this, it's fraud. They already did." She tapped the envelope. "Then they'll hang themselves with it." The waitress came by. Poured us both coffee. I added nothing, just drank. Evelyn smiled. "You look tired." "I feel clean." We didn't say much else. She handed me a smaller envelope on the way out. "Keep this copy. Safe place. Don't store it where they live." "I won't." We stood beside her car. I looked her in the eye. "If anything happens, I know what to do," she said. I walked home. Took the long way. Past the park where I used to take Grant. Past the post office. Past the church with the cracked bell. Back home, I walked straight to the kitchen. Opened the freezer, moved the peas, and tucked the new envelope behind the rest. Sealed? Secure. Mine. Grant was in the living room when I came in. Shirt wrinkled, tie crooked. He looked up like a boy caught skipping class. Out for a walk, out for coffee. Brielle stood behind him, arms crossed. We called the bank again. "Did they help?" Her mouth tightened. "They said you authorized the changes." "I did." Grant laughed, once bitter. "So that's it. You're just cutting us out." "You already did that part." They didn't answer. I walked to my room, changed clothes, and locked the door behind me. Later, I heard Grant on the phone. Loud. Angry. "She has nothing left. How is that possible?" "Brielle again? She's lying. She's playing poor to trap us." "Or we already lost," he said. The word sat heavy in the air. I didn't gloat. I didn't move. I waited. Because soon they'd stop pretending. And that's when people showed their real face. I grabbed my coat and left without a word. First stop hardware store. I didn't browse. I asked. I paid. I carried the fireproof lockbox out under my arm, heavy and plain. Next electronics. Not flashy. Just one small motion camera Wi-Fi enabled audio on. Last stop, corner shop. I walked the aisle slow. Rows of cheap mugs, all sayings and colors. One caught my eye, white, thick handle. Black letters, still mine. I bought it. Cash. No card. Back home, the house was quiet. Grant's car gone. Brielle's shoes still at the door. I unpacked the box first. Set it up in the back of the closet under old coats. The trust copy, the will, the backup USB, all inside. Locked. Code only. I knew. Then the camera. I placed it on the top shelf behind the bookshelf. Good angle. Full view of the couch and entry. I tested the feed on my phone. Crystal clear. The mug I set on the counter. Didn't hide it. Didn't need to. Brielle walked in as I washed my hands. She glanced at the mug. Knew. I nodded. Felt like something solid. She eyed it, but didn't ask. Later, Grant returned. Loud door, fast steps, the usual. Dinner came and went. No one spoke much. I sipped from the mug, watched them over the rim. The camera blinked, once tiny and unnoticed. After dishes, they retreated to the den. I stayed behind, checked the footage, watched the way Brielle rolled her eyes when I turned away. Watched Grant grip his phone too tight. I logged the time, saved the clip. Then I locked my room. They were planning something. I could feel it, hear it in the silence between their footsteps. The storm was close, and I was ready. Brielle slapped the paper down on the table. Here, this will make things easier for everyone. I wiped my hands on a towel and sat. The page was typed neat columns, bold headers. Breakfast prepared at 7. Lunch cleared by 1. Laundry Tuesdays and Fridays. No visitors. Quiet hours after 8. Rules for my own house. Grant leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, pretending to stay out of it. I read each line without blinking. The last section hit harder than the rest. Avoid unnecessary interactions. Stay in your room when guests arrive. Erased on paper just as they'd been erasing me day by day. I nodded once. No protest. No sigh. I folded the sheet slow crisp, then slipped it into my purse. That's fine, I said. Brielle's shoulders eased. She thought she'd won something. Grant muttered, "Good. Let's keep the peace." I stood, poured myself coffee, and carried it back to my room. The purse sat on the dresser. I tucked the paper deep inside, under the folder Evelyn had given me. Later, I pulled it out again. Studied it in the lamplight. Each demand was proof. Not just of control, but of motive. The kind of thing that, when read out loud in front of the right people, would strip their excuses bare. I traced the last line with my finger. "Stay in your room," I smiled. Then slid the paper into a folder marked with nothing at all. That night, I cooked dinner exactly as listed, served them both, sat quiet, let them feel superior. And when I washed the dishes, I glanced once at the bookshelf. The camera's tiny red blink winked back. Recording. Always. The list was only the beginning, and I knew just where it would end. Laughter echoed through the vents. I sat in my room, notebook, open pen in hand. The voices filtered through thin walls like water through paper. "She's not going to say anything," Brielle said, laughing. She didn't even flinch when I handed her that schedule. Grant's voice followed, smug. "She doesn't know what day it is half the time?" "We're fine." A beat of silence. "Then tomorrow seals it. Once the announcement's made, she can't touch a thing. Everyone will know it's ours." I didn't move, just kept listening. Brielle again. Lower now. "Think about it, by next month we'll be in the new place. She can stay here. Quiet. Out of sight." He grunted in agreement. "I'll frame it like we're doing her a favor. No one questions me anymore." I closed the notebook, then opened it to the final page. I wrote slowly, clearly, each stroke, deliberate April 13th. They plan to announce ownership at party. Expect no resistance. Confirmed manipulation. Audio saved. Camera ready. I underlined the date. Then I slipped the notebook under the cushions, stood, and walked to the freezer. Checked the bags. Still cold. Still dry. In the hallway, their laughter died down. Doors closed. Lights dimmed. I walked past the living room, glanced once at the camera. The red light blinked. Watching. Waiting. Back in my room, I pulled the envelope Evelyn had given me from the closet. Checked the contents. Trust documents. Will. Recording waiver. All ready. On the dresser sat the mug. Still mine. I washed it. Set it on a clean napkin. Packed my clothes for the morning. Then I turned out the light and waited for them to walk into their own show. Grant yanked the fridge door open, reaching for juice to impress Brielle's parents. The sound came first, a crack, a clink, then the thud of glass hitting the floor. Every head at the table turned. Inside, half buried in frost, sat the clear bag. Paper inside, bold and dark edges sealed by ice. My name, his forgery. And on top, a folded letter marked in thick ink for all present. Grant froze, hand trembling. Brielle darted forward, voice sharp. "Close it too late." The neighbors leaned in. Her parents gasped. One of them whispered, "What is that?" Grant pulled the bag out. His knuckles went white. He ripped at the plastic water dripping down his sleeve. The letter slid loose, dropped onto the tile. I stood, pulled my chair back, slow, steady. Read it, I said. No one moved, so I picked it up myself. Opened it. My own voice filled the room, calm but hard. These are the forged documents my son used to try to divert my retirement. His wife knew. Together they've spread lies that I'm incompetent. But as you see, my signature is not mine, and the bank already knows it. Brielle's mother pressed a hand to her mouth. The neighbor across the table muttered, "Good Lord." Grant's face burned red. "Mom, stop, I didn't. Neighbors, friends, family, you've been told I'm losing memory, that I'm not fit to handle my own life. Look around you. I remember every word, every date, every betrayal. And now you remember, too." No one spoke. The silence was heavier than shouting. Brielle tried to laugh, brittle. She doesn't understand this is a mistake. But the camera perched above the shelf blinked its tiny red light. Recording. Witnessing. I stepped closer to the table. This house is still mine. My money is still mine. And today, you all saw the truth first. Grant's hand shook so badly the wet papers slipped from his grip. They landed on the floor, spreading in a soggy mess. I looked at him. "So, son, shall we talk?" And I didn't sit back down. I pulled my phone from my pocket and tapped the screen. The voices filled the room, clear, crisp. No room for excuses. "Brielle. She won't fight back. Just sign her name and move the money. Grant. If she notices, we'll tell everyone she's confused. They'll believe it." A gasp cut the air. One of the neighbors covered her mouth. Brielle's father shifted in his chair, face drained. Her mother stood, grabbed her purse, and walked out without a word. The door slammed behind her. Grant reached forward, desperate. "Turn that off." I held the phone steady. "No. They need to hear it." The tape went on. Brielle's voice again, colder this time. "Once the retirement's gone, the house is next. She's just in the way." The silence that followed was heavier than the words themselves. Every eye in the room fixed on them. Not on me anymore, on them. Grant's face paled, sweat breaking at his hairline. He tried to force a smile. It's taken out of context. We were joking." No one believed him. The neighbors whispered. A chair scraped. Someone muttered, "Joking about stealing from your own mother." Brielle crossed her arms chin high. "She set this up. You all don't understand. She's manipulative. I cut her off. "The truth doesn't need decoration. You heard it. Plain." Grant dropped back into his chair, head in his hands. His shoulders shook once, but he didn't speak. I stopped the recording, slid the phone into my pocket, looked at every face still seated. This is what I've lived with. You know now. And I don't need to prove a thing further. The neighbors stood slowly. One by one they left. No goodbyes, no pity. Just the cold knowledge that they had seen what I'd seen all along. When the last door closed, only the three of us remained. Brielle glared at me, eyes bright with fury. "You think this saves you?" Grant didn't look up. I walked to the counter, picked up my mug, and poured myself coffee. The sound of liquid hitting ceramic was the only noise left. Then I sat, calm, steady, and waited for them to speak. Evelyn arrived at 9:03 sharp. She walked in without hesitation, documents in hand, expression like stone. Brielle stood near the sink, arms crossed, waiting to attack. Grant lingered behind her, silent now for hours. Evelyn didn't offer greetings, just opened the folder and began reading. Per the authority granted under federal and state law and with documentation of attempted financial fraud, she said, her voice flat. This notice revokes any and all access previously held by Brielle Catherine Lane to the financial accounts, retirement distributions, insurance policies, and property rights pertaining to Merla Jean Rourke. Brielle blinked. You're not listed anywhere anymore, Evelyn said, cutting her off. Not as caretaker, not as beneficiary, not even as emergency contact. Grant's lips parted, then closed again. Evelyn continued. Additionally, this document confirms the full transfer of the house in its entirety into a protected trust under Merla's sole authority. Effective as of last Thursday. Brielle's voice cracked. She's senile. You can't trust there are medical reports on file. Evelyn didn't flinch. Signed, reviewed, notarized. Full cognitive capacity. No power of attorney was ever lawfully assigned to you. I sat in my chair, mug warm in my hand. Said nothing. Brielle's mouth twisted. We took care of you. I didn't respond. Evelyn turned one final page. If you attempt to access anything going forward, you'll be in violation of federal law. This copy is yours. A second has already been sent to your employers. Grant swallowed. Brielle didn't move. Evelyn closed the folder. Set it on the table. This is over. Then she turned, nodded once at me, and walked out. The front door clicked shut. The quiet that followed wasn't peaceful. It was raw, final. Brielle stared at the folder like it might vanish. You can't just erase me. I met her eyes, but I didn't say a word. I stood, picked up the folder, walked it to my room, locked the door. Behind me, no footsteps followed. No questions, no apologies. Only silence. The knock came soft, hesitant. Just once. I didn't answer. I stood still behind the door, hand on the knob, not turning it. Through the crack of light under the frame, I saw his shadow. The same broad stance from when he was a boy. But now, waited, unsure. No yelling, no demands. Just silence. He stood there for a minute. Maybe more. Then a rustle. Paper slid across the floor. I waited. His steps moved backward. Down the hall. Toward the door. It opened. Closed. I waited 5 more minutes. Then 5 more. I opened the door. The note lay folded on the rug. Plain white paper. No name outside. I picked it up. Held it. Then I set it on the kitchen counter. Unread. Coffee brewed behind me. Steady drip. I poured a mug. Sat at the table. Watched the light shift on the note. I didn't touch it. Some things don't need to be read. I sipped. The house was quiet. My name was mine again. My home intact. He had knocked, and I had not answered. That was enough. I cleaned the counter. Moved the note to the trash. Pushed it down beneath yesterday's grounds. The doorbell didn't ring again, and I didn't expect it to. I washed my mug. Let it dry on the rack. Then I turned toward the hallway, toward the last small act left to do. I took the key from the back of the drawer and walked out the door. At the bank, the woman behind the counter greeted me by name. Her voice was polite, neutral. She didn't ask why I was there. I slid the key across the glass. I'd like to rent a new box, she nodded, pulled up the form. Just you, yes. Only me. She turned the screen. Initial here and again here. I signed. Quick, controlled. The vault opened with a hiss. Cold air met my skin. I stepped in alone. Box 719, mid-level. Not too high, not too low, easy to reach. I opened it. From my purse, I took the trust documents, the signed will, the audio recording backed up to a flash drive, the printed transcript, the schedule Brielle gave me, the notarized bank letter confirming the reversal, all of it. I placed each one in the envelope, sealed it, slid it inside the metal drawer. Done. The box clicked shut. I turned the key, held it for a second, then pocketed it. Outside, the day was gray. The wind pushed at my coat. I crossed the street to the cafe, ordered a small coffee, black, no sugar. I walked home slow, 1 block at a time. No papers, no bags, no evidence, just the key in my pocket and warmth in my hand. At the corner, I paused, watched a boy ride his bike past. He didn't look at me. I liked that. I kept walking. Home came into view. The porch still needed painting. The screen door stuck on the bottom hinge. It was mine. I stepped inside, placed the mug on the counter, hung my coat. The key went in a drawer no one else used. I sat, let the quiet settle again, and waited for morning. I poured the coffee slow, let it fill to the brim. Steam rose, quiet and clean. The mug sat steady on the counter, white, heavy, thick handle, black letters across the front. Still mine. I didn't rush. No one waited. No one barked questions down the hall. I took my seat at the table, the one they once made me leave behind. Outside, the wind moved through the trees. Leaves scraped the glass in soft rhythms. No keys turned, no doors slammed, no footsteps above. Just the hum of the fridge and the heat of the cup in my palms. I drank. Slow. Steady. I didn't check my phone. Didn't peek out the window. No more pretending. No more watching my back. Everything they built on my silence had collapsed, and I didn't need to say a word. The mug rested between my hands, warm, ceramic, mine, and for once, the quiet meant peace.